All right, let's get right into it. It's easy to think of a roof as just, well, a roof, something that keeps the rain out. But when you live somewhere like Hondo, Texas, your roof is so much more than that. It's your home's #1 defense system. It's the frontline shield that protects everything you care about from some pretty serious weather. And beating is the right word. We're not just talking about some occasional bad weather here. This is a full-on, day in, day out assault on your home. It's a constant battle between your house and the Texas elements. Seriously, every single day, your roof is in a fight. So, to make sure your home comes out on top, we've put together a little battle plan. First, we're going to understand the enemy by looking at what your fortress is really up against. Then, we'll talk about how to spot the weak points, the breaches in your defense. After that, we'll cover calling in professional reinforcements. And to wrap it all up, we'll give you a tactical toolkit for hiring the right crew for the job. Okay, let's jump into Section 1, a fortress under siege. See, if you want to defend your home, you have to know exactly what you're defending it from. You have to understand the enemy. And believe me, the challenges in the Hondo area are pretty unique. So what we're looking at here is basically a war on multiple fronts. You've got the sun, with summer temps hitting over 100 degrees, literally baking your shingles day after day. That intense UV radiation just chews up roofing materials. Then, bam! A storm rolls in, dropping hail the size of golf balls and hitting you with wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. And just for fun, the ground itself, that caliche soil, can shift, putting stress on your entire house from the foundation up. And here's the most important part. It's not just one of these things, it's the combination of all of them. This relentless pressure from sun, wind, hail, and soil means that any tiny little weakness, I'm talking one nail out of place, one corner cut on installation, can turn into a massive failure really, really fast. The margin for error here is practically zero.
Which leads us right into Section 2. Now that we know what the enemy's throwing at us, it's time to do some reconnaissance on our own turf. This is all about identifying those breaches, the warning signs that tell you your roof's defenses are starting to fail.
So the big question is, how do you actually spot trouble before it becomes a full-blown disaster? What are those little SOS signals your roof might be sending you? Let's take a look at some of the biggest ones.
First off, curling or blistering shingles. If you look up and see the edges of your shingles starting to curl up, or if they look like they have little bubbles on them, that's a classic sign of heat damage and just old age. That Hondo sun has literally cooked them to the point where they're getting brittle. And once they're brittle, the next strong wind can just snap them right off, leaving a perfect entryway for water.
Here's another one you can spot without even getting on a ladder. Next time you're cleaning out your gutters, look for a bunch of what looks like coarse black sand. Those are the granules from your shingles. Think of those granules as your roof's sunscreen. When they wash away, the shingle's core is left exposed to those brutal UV rays, and it will start to break down way, way faster. And this is the sign you never want to see. If you're seeing water stains on your ceiling, it means the breach isn't a possibility anymore, it's happened. Your outer defenses have failed and water is now inside your home. At this point, it's not just a roof problem. It's a potential mold, drywall, and structural problem that you have to deal with like yesterday. This really brings up a critical point too. There are two kinds of breaches. You've got the obvious ones, right? Like a chunk of shingles missing after a big storm. You can see that from your driveway. But the really dangerous ones are often hidden. Things like flashing around a chimney that wasn't installed quite right. It creates a slow, sneaky leak that can cause rot and damage for years before you ever see that stain on your ceiling. And that's why just glancing at your roof isn't always enough.
Which is the perfect lead-in to Section 3, calling in reinforcements. When you even suspect there's a problem, especially one of those hidden ones, it's time to bring in the pros. So let's pull back the curtain on what a professional roofing process should actually look like.
A legitimate professional job should always follow these 3 steps. It's not complicated. It starts with a super thorough inspection that leads to a detailed written proposal, no handshake deals. Then comes the actual installation, which has to include quality control checks along the way. And finally, it all wraps up with a final walkthrough and all the paperwork, like warranties in your hand. It should be totally transparent.
Now here's a term you absolutely need to know. Write this down: manufacturer certified installer. This isn't just some fancy marketing phrase. It means the roofing company has been specifically trained and is regularly checked up on by the people who actually make the shingles. So what's in it for you? Well, it means they can offer powerful, extended warranties on both materials and labor that your average roofer just can't touch. It's a huge layer of protection. And that brings us to our last section, where we're going to arm you with the tools you need to make a really smart hire.
This is Section 4, your tactical toolkit. Everything a homeowner needs to know.
Just think of this as your hiring cheat sheet. On the do's side, you absolutely have to ask for proof of insurance, get a detailed written proposal, ask them how they handle permits. And on the don't side, never ever pay for the whole job up front, don't fall for those high-pressure sign today or the price goes up tactics, and if a roofer can't clearly explain the local building codes, show them the door. Simple as that.
All right, let's talk about the bottom line. What should you expect to pay? Well, for a pretty typical 2,000 square foot roof replacement in the Hondo area, you're generally looking at a range of about $8,000 to $18,000. Of course, that depends a lot on the materials you pick and how complex your roof is. But this gives you a realistic ballpark so you can spot a bid that's way too low or way too high.
And to help you vet these guys, here are 4 killer questions to ask every single contractor you talk to. Ask them to explain their warranties in detail. Ask who is actually going to be on site supervising the crew every day. Ask practical stuff like how they'll protect your yard and plants. And always, always ask for recent references from jobs right there in Hondo. Their answers will tell you everything you need to know.
So we end where we started. Your house isn't just a structure, it's your fortress. It protects your family, your memories, everything you value. So, knowing the kind of constant assault it's under from the Texas elements, the final question you have to ask yourself is this: is my first line of defense, my roof, really ready for that next storm?